So let's go over the fastest way to grow your business and make you more money. And it's not a secret, it's a truth that most business owners do not take on head on. Okay, they do anything else but actually solve this problem. And that problem is to get more customers. I know it sounds really obvious. You want to get more customers, you want to get them then paying longer, and if you're really good, you want them to pay you more. Okay, sounds really obvious, but most business owners do the following, and you probably identify with this. They try and solve and fix a problem that they're already good at, which could be operations, it could be delivery, it could be logistics, instead of tackling what you need, which is more feet in the door and more credit cards on your file. And I see this time and time again, that most businesses will do anything but get more customers and try and solve other problems. So what we need to do first is try and define the problem, define how much money we're spending to get our customers, and then fix that problem so we can bring more in for cheaper. Because if we have a really good customer acquisition cost, we can build our business for forever. So customer acquisition cost is how much it actually costs to land a paying customer, not just a lead or a click. They're all important variables that need to be identified, but customer acquisition cost is probably the most important. If it doesn't work and it's the wrong number and it's way too high, your business won't grow slowly, it will slowly die. It will actually cannibalize its own income. So for example, if you have a customer acquisition cost of $1,000 and your lifetime value of a customer is $900, you're never going to win, because for every customer you bring in, you're actually losing $100. And I see this time and time again with multiple businesses. A lot of businesses in this situation here may not even have a lead constraint. They could bring in thousands of leads but convert very, very few. So we need to approach this intelligently to figure out where the actual bottleneck is and then solve that. So how do we fix it? Really simple. We work out our total acquisition spend, add up everything. Sales team, wages, referral bonuses, software, outreach costs, paid advertising, etc. Then get all your new customers earned. Over that period, whether it's 90 days, 30 days, a month, a week, etc., whatever it is, count only the actual paying customers from that period of spend. And then divide it. Okay, so your total spend divided by new customers equals your customer acquisition cost. So if you spent 5K and you got 25 customers, you have basically got a $200 CAC. Really, really simple. So if your CAC is really low and predictable and is way less than your lifetime value, you should probably scale aggressively, because your business can have customer finance acquisition, and if you can handle the demand, you keep going, okay? You will basically, in this situation where your CAC is less than your lifetime value and you get your payback period, which means the money to acquire the customer is paid back to the business really quickly, you can scale infinitely if you can handle the amount of work that you get. That's the biggest problem at that point. And when you're at that point where you've got a supply constraint rather than a demand constraint, your business will win. In fact, it's inevitable. So here are 7 ways that we can basically slash our CAC through advertising, okay? Let's break it down, because there's 7 specific levers that we can pull to actually do this. So a lot of businesses don't do this. Number 1 is add creative. Test relentlessly. So good creative is not what you like, what I like, not what we think people will like. It's what they actually click on and what the data says works. And a lot of business owners don't get this right, okay? They're too emotionally driven in it, they're too ego driven in it, and they don't get the outcome that they want. So 2 proven approaches of this. Test heavily, run up to 30 creative variations per campaign if you have the budget to do it, okay? And you can make that much creative, and one will come up the winner. One will always come out a clear winner. And then if none of them come out the winner, do more creatives. It basically, inevitably, you will find one that works. And the next option is to monetize organic wins. So take content that's already viral, repurpose it to actually, get people in the door and put some ad spend behind it. It is the best way to do it. Now, the next 2 ones we have are ad messaging and number 3, targeting. So ad messaging is your copy, the words that tell prospects what to do, what to expect, what benefits they're going to receive. So if you're doing copy, what generally happens is most people try and get too clever and they try and sound too smart in their copy. Simple wins in copy. And if there's a proven messaging framework that works for your industry, i.e. cleaning, it could be no effort, effortless cleaning, sparkling clean, those things are all proven winners. Just keep using what works. Okay, you will eventually get it to above industry average, and once you found it there, you just keep it there for as long as it performs. Once you've got your winning creative, if you really want to nail it, what you do is you get your winning bit of creative and you test that same creative with 5 to 10 variations of copy, okay, of messaging, and then eventually one will prove as the shining winner, okay? And you can do this process again and again until you get really, really high performers. The downside is the more time you spend testing, the more time you're spending money on losers. So there is a balance to be found here. And keep your language simple and clear. Clear beats clever and copy. Now in targeting, AI has changed the game and made it easier, but you still need to pick the right people. So if you're doing service, start with location radius. Now, if you are doing different, depending on the service, depends on the size of the radius. So what I mean by that is if you're a barbershop, for example, you can only do X amount of radius because people are only going to travel so far to get their hair cut, whereas you're a surgeon of knees or something like that, knee surgeon, it can be, a little bit bigger because people will generally travel further to get a surgeon because there's less knee surgeons than there are barbers. And I would argue it's a more important thing. So just be aware of that your radius will be done like that. So use retargeting. Warm audiences convert better and basically cost you less money, which is good. And build lookalike audiences from your customers and engaged followers because they already have the buying and the browsing characteristics of your ideal target audience. So you'd want to target them. Now, the next two things we want to focus on, right place and right customers. Okay, so right place. Be where your customers already are, and you need to apply this to both real life scenarios and also digital. So if you're selling menopause solutions, TikTok's probably not the right place. If you're selling sex toys, probably not LinkedIn. If you're doing after school activities, school newsletters are probably the right place. So you want to match the platforms and the places you're at to your audience's natural habitat, where they kind of already hang out. So this is something that's very easy to do. So I just had a conversation this morning with a coach who's doing so much better on Facebook versus Instagram with his over 35 to 45 year old audience, because that audience will spend more time on Facebook rather than spending that time on Instagram, and he gets far more engagement there. And then what we need to make sure is we're targeting the right customers. So we've got our top of funnel customers. We need to make sure we have a really solid attraction offer that grabs their attention or give brand awareness content because they've never heard of us. Middle of funnel is we want to have repeated exposure to the core offer, proof and expertise. Okay, so we want to basically prove we're the expert because they've seen us, but they're not fully bought in yet. And then at the bottom of the funnel, scarcity, urgency, bonuses, and risk reversal work really well to get people across the board. Now, this can all go downhill if our offer sucks, okay? So Alex Hormozi has talked about offers in his book, $100 million offers. He does a much better job of it than I could do right here. But this is basically the components of an offer you need to have. You need to have a dream outcome, give them the ideal result they're trying to achieve, a high perceived likelihood of success, make them feel extremely confident you can get the result, a time delay, meaning they get the result quicker, speed matters, and effort and sacrifice. Make it easy and reduce what they think they'll have to give up to make it work. So if your offer fails, any 4 of these, really hard for creative and stuff to sell you. So if your offer sucks, this is really, really hard to do. So this is where sometimes a product, even though it's good, the offer can kill the whole thing. I worked with a company that was doing blood testing for personal trainers to help them introduce it into their thing. And the offer was for free to actually get the software. But what happened is that the customer had to pay a huge upfront cost once they were on board, or the trainer had to kind of fit that. So it wasn't very attractive for the trainer to have to spend X amount of money, even after they were told something was for free, to then do the actual blood test and get them to follow up the routine. It was asking for people to do way too many things to actually get the dream outcome. Do the test, then train for X amount of time. Not that many tests, so it's not that likely to succeed. Plus, you've got to pay for it. It's going to take a long time to get the results and get them analyzed, and it's a lot of work. Okay, versus cleaning a house. Hey, your house is going to be clean. It's 100% guaranteed because they're going to come and do it or give you your money back. It'll be done in 2 hours, and you don't have to do shit. So that's a really winning offer. And then finally, lead magnets are a really good weapon for your CAC, okay? That will basically solve a problem that a stranger will trade their contact details for. So a good lead magnet will solve one specific problem quickly, it will attract the right customers, and it'll set up your core offer perfectly. Now, lead magnets are not applicable to all businesses, okay? So it may not be useful for a barbershop, for example, because you can't give part of a haircut. Okay, so barbershops have to focus on social proof, reputation, and advertising in the right places, whereas a digital business certainly needs lead magnets. A coaching business, a consulting business, all those things can really benefit from doing lead magnets. Anything in the information sphere will be great with lead magnets. So you need to think of, with your business as well, is like, with the type of business I have, so if it's a information-based business, lead magnets are great. If it's a service-based business, an example is great. If it is a software as a service-based business, a trial is great. So different businesses require different lead magnet types, okay? And then when you use these effectively, it makes all the follow-up and retargeting so much cheaper because people already trust you, and then they'll pay you. So if you do these 7 things, I guarantee you'll see your customer acquisition cost drop. Next up, how to engage those leads once you've hit them up.